Hi, welcome to our roundtable discussion number 1.
Number 1. So this is really exciting, new project.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about issues surrounding women's empowerment and I don't know, what else? We haven't really formulated exactly.
Kind of the seed came from that desire for women's empowerment.
Right.
And then as the three of us have been working together, kind of understanding each other's gift sets and having shared visions and values, and that we want to bring things out into the world.
Yeah, and make it relevant. You know, what is it?
Right.
You know, what are women really challenged with today, and how is it that we can, how do we navigate that?
Right. I think giving news they can use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. News they can use.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and maybe some practical things that, you know, news that you can use, and maybe skills you can use.
Right. I know, and this is a new skill for the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
I have been so impressed. These ladies really got on it. We were sitting around this table having a really brilliant discussion and realized that it should be shared.
Yeah.
And the two of you just learned some new skills with camera work and lighting and
I want to do a big shout out to the Fayetteville Public Access Television.
Yes.
I had heard about it. I've never really gone down there, and then to find out that they offer an incredible amount of free classes and the tools.
Yes.
Right.
The cameras we're using, the lights we're using.
It's such a service to the community, and so that people can take their knowledge and skills and share them with the community.
Yeah, it's almost a different level of community sharing that they're able to offer. And so we're able to take this equipment and go out into the field and sit around Joy's table. They also offer in-studio recordings. So I'm excited. To find this as a resource.
I feel like the sky's the limit when I'm there. You know, my background, I was an occupational therapist for 25 years. I didn't know a thing about media, and most of what I learned at Fayetteville Public Television. It's really not my forte working with the equipment, as you know, but realizing that that's a resource and learning, and then just telling people about it in the community. They're always amazed when they go there for the classes at what's available.
Yes,
you know,
the jaws drop. They're like, really?
Yeah. And
it's free.
I want to say that we're recording this with the cameras all by themselves and no camera crew.
Yes.
So we set it up and we're running it.
Yeah, DIY, and it's a learning process. So.
Yes, absolutely. So I think when we were sitting around the table, and it was such a rich discussion about women and how they navigate the world, the realization that this information should be shared really came to all of us, and we're like, okay, how can we do this, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what this podcast and TV show is going to be about.
Maybe I want to throw out today is letting go of perfection, because that's an issue that a lot of women have, a lot of my clients have, and here's a perfect demonstration of doing it right now.
Right.
Of role modeling. We're letting go of perfection. We're experimenting. We're guessing and testing and just letting it run.
Right.
Yeah.
Here we
Total
are.
experimentation, recorded for your for your pleasure, for your benefit.
So,
Yeah, that's so true, Joy. So many people that I meet with, that interface with Bulldozer Health, or with me personally. As we talk, I see how they want to even present themselves just to me in this perfect way.
Yeah.
And I try to kind of give them that sense that I think they're perfect just like as they are. And it's okay to speak. It's okay. Whatever they're going to talk about is okay with me, whether or not I agree with it.
Right.
That might be their truth.
Yeah.
You know, and so they don't have to be, I don't even know I guess everyone's idea of what perfect is a little different maybe. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think that when people are striving for perfection, they're striving for their idealized self. And that idealized self, maybe they got it from their family culture or from their church culture or school culture or the community culture. Their idealized self is never their authentic self. And so I
Yeah.
really ask people to let's let go of that idealized self and return to that beautifully messy, beautifully imperfect, authentic self.
Here, here.
And sometimes people get triggered by the word authentic as if that's been thrown around too many times.
Right. And what does that mean
yeah.
exactly? You know, I think sometimes people, you know, their chronological age may be 50 or 60, but emotionally they may be a little further back, and they may not even be sure what their authentic self is.
Yeah.
You know, have you run into that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is the work and the world I live in, and I think that, you know, going back to this idealized self and this attempt to be that idealized self, I hope that this will help people just really be like, oh, okay, I can go and try something. I can go and fail, and I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to, you know, because really, if you're learning something new, there's that learning curve. You're always going to feel messy and, you know, and uncoordinated to begin with. And as you work your way around incompetency, things will improve. But if if you're not willing to feel messy, if you're not willing to be imperfect to begin with, you can't really explore and experiment with anything new. And so, I run into this all the time, the perfection, this sense that we're not okay as we are, because maybe we haven't been accepted and loved and appreciated.
Or reflected back to
Yes.
for the beauty of the truth of who we are.
Exactly. And so
Yeah.
if without that reflection, then you don't really have a complete picture of who you are. You know, if you didn't have that in early childhood.
You might have the picture of what your parents wanted you to be,
Absolutely. Your
or other
programming.
right, or other people in your life, whether like you mentioned the church, you know, a religious figure, or even, you know, another family member, what they think you should be.
Absolutely.
And I feel like as women, you know, we're many women anyway are very self-critical, and then thinking about that self that they were supposed to be, and they're not meeting that mark when it was never really real
Right.
to begin with, you know.
I like suggesting that people replace that strive for perfection with curiosity, right? Because in curiosity, you get to experiment and look at and see what happens without having that expectation of what it's going to be. You don't put out the preset image of what you think it's going to look like.
Yeah, because in reality, we're all becoming. You know, we're all processes. We're all in process. We're never complete until, you know, we're complete. Yeah,
Right.
so,
When is that?
well, I think when there's no more life.
Right.
No more breath.
Right. I love the word curiosity too, and it brings up ideas of when you're a child and you're learning things for the first time. But we do that throughout our lives, and somehow I think the word curiosity is sort of removed from our conversations. So I love it that you turn it to that, you know.
Yeah, I think I'm just constantly curious by nature, and that's my learning and growth part. And when I watch other people shift that striving for perfection to curiosity, it lightens the load. It also makes things more playful. I think there's a playful nature under curiosity.
Absolutely.
Brings back Curious George and memories of Curious George.
Right.
Yeah.
We need Curious Georgia, maybe.
Yeah, Curious George. Yeah, we can try. That could be a whole new book, right?
There you go.
That
Yeah.
would be fun.
It would be.
We could do it.
We might get a
animated.
couple of books out of these round
Yeah.
table discussions. Some new ideas.
And that's what I appreciate. I love the magic that happens when we just get together.
Yes.
Right? And then
Yeah.
we you know, we don't really know what we're talking about. I mean, we have this, you know, this general sense of what we're going to be talking about.
Right.
But we decided to record this conversation and share it just as it organically unfolds. And I think that's where this the creative inspiration can come up, and there could be synergy in more than one person. And an idea might be born that might not have ever been born
Right.
without that us coming together and being willing to be flawed and imperfectly perfect, as we are.
And I think one of the things that we do have with each other, even though we don't have the plan of what we're doing, what we have is a trust in each other, and we have a respect for each other. And I know I'm like inspired by both of you, and so that gives
Same
me that
here.
willingness to
Yes.
like, okay, let's
be open and willing to try and see. These conversations, the organic nature of it, I think is really appealing. You know.
There's something that's so alive about that. When you're trying to be perfect, you kind of stifle the life that's in you, that life force that's in you that says, I want to go do this. And you're like, no, I've got to like be here in this perfect, this picture of what I think I should be. And that's where the fun is, right? That's where, that aliveness.
Yeah.
So I'm appreciating that right now, just the aliveness.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. And realizing that we are creators, and I hope that people who are watching and listening realize that they're creators too. Everyone is. It's whether you sort of tap into that or you keep striving for that box to fit in that may or may not really be you, or you instead live into your creator self.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, there's what I'm remembering now. Joy and I are part of a book study, and one of the bodies of work that we've been studying is verbal self-defense, and it's Kaja Urbaniak, and she talks about how women have a tightrope to walk in life, where there's this acceptable line of, I would say, maybe perfection or your idealized self. And if you sway over to the right, no, you can't go there. You got to get back in on that line. You sway over to this side. No, you got to. And so it causes stress just to be a woman because of those expectations. And I think one thing I would love to come from this is a widening of that spectrum of just being who you are, not needing to be like this, because there are so many different people, humans, that make it. We're so diverse. It's beautiful. The diverse nature of each human, and so to make more room for that and to really appreciate that and have people be accepted and appreciated for that.
Yeah, there's such a wide range of color, that tightrope. Like I'm just picturing that, whitish rope, right? I mean, who really fits on there and can stay on it?
And who's happy
right. When really there's so many different options and choices for life.
Yeah.
Everything from types of relationships to work pursuits to leisure pursuits. There's so many different avenues that people can take.
The creativity is also making me think of birthing, right? And as women, we can birth babies, and we can also birth many other things. Yes. So all of our creativity, like this project, is a birthing project, right? And so whether or not we bear children or not, as women, we still birth through creativity, and we birth through new ideas and collaboration. And we know birthing is a messy process.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yes. And painful, but with beautiful ending, hopefully, usually, right?
Hopefully,
So it, that whole process that you go through, it is really similar to starting a new project. I never really thought about that.
There's a gestation period, right? Like where we first brought up the idea, and then we sat with it, and then we had to do a little bit of learning, to catch up, and now we're pulling it together into the unknown and allowing it to see what. A lot of times in art too, I talk about the 3/4 process when I've taught art classes or done workshops where we're culminating to something. In the 3/4 process, people get really frustrated because it's not meeting their idealized image. But we allow if we allow the creativity to really flow, that piece of artwork or that culmination of a project takes on a life of its own.
Oh my goodness!
And I've watched that with you with your radio show. It has taken on a life of its own, and it's grown.
It has, so I had a lot of experience learning with the first show that we did.
Yeah, why don't you tell the viewers right now who might be listening?
Sure. So we did 61 episodes of the Bulldozer Health Show and started it not knowing anything. Actually, I started it sitting with my computer in my bedroom. Somebody gave me a little they call it a Go mic, and I put it on the computer and just recorded myself just raving about the healthcare system, basically. And then I would send it to Angela Edge, who agreed to produce the show, and she made it into a podcast. And that evolved finally to a really beautiful product, television show, radio show. And so we ended that project, and then I met Topher Kogan at Fayetteville Public Television, and we just had great chemistry. We clicked right away, and we started working on a potential TV show called the Green Zone TV, and then that evolved actually to the live radio show. But we aired that live on KPSQ radio here in Fayetteville, and started really bringing in community, which is kind of it's one of my specialties, creating community and bringing the community together. And the idea was to bring these three things together: health, plant medicine, and music. Because all of those things I feel like come from the same place in the human spirit, so they're a perfect match for each other. And so that show evolved. We outgrew that studio. We just had too many guests and people coming through, and bands with full drum kits in this tiny studio.
I was in the studio when it was really tiny, and we were sardined in there.
And I love KPSQ. It was a really great start, and I learned about radio. So I really didn't know much about. I knew nothing about television, and then moving to the radio station, learned all about radio. So these are, sometimes you just have to walk into any fears and doubts and try something. And so it grew.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Yes,
do it anyway. Right. And so we outgrew that space, and now we're back at Fayetteville Public Television. But the cool thing about it is not only are we on their station on Cox and Uverse, but we put it on YouTube, and we take the audio and put it on podcasting formats. And on radio stations, we're on in Boston and in Fayetteville. So
if
it's
someone
really
wants to find your
growing.
show, what do they look up if they want to find your show?
So it's the Wendy Love Edge show with Topher Kogan, and you can find it on all the major podcasting formats, radio and TV. So I think it's a good example of learning new things, being curious, having an idea and following it through, and.
I like that your show has different things that you're interested in, right? And you're blending them together. And right now, in my life, I'm blending some things that I've been passionate about. So I actually went to art school. I went to Rhode Island School of Design and ended up studying graphic design. But I loved the freshman foundation year with life drawing. And then I fell into my healing career, and I've been a healing practitioner for 25 years, and I love it. But now I'm wanting to merge those two worlds back together again. And so I
love that idea. Yeah.
So I'm creating these new 6 decks of cards. And the decks of cards, it's going to be a feeling deck, which I've used before. And the deck that I used isn't online available anymore. Most decks are for children, and I want to be making these decks for adults. So I'm going to be making a deck of feelings so people can understand their own emotional intelligence better, and then their needs, judgments, body sensations. I know, Christi, you know how out of touch sometimes people are with their bodies.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a deck that I'm really excited about, is the body sensation. But then my most I'm going to do drawings when there aren't even words yet for how you feel. And so I want to draw what discourage might look like. And I want to do a combination of partial figure, partial emotional body painting. So that I'm waiting to birth that. And so
that's wonderful. Because I also do some individual work with people, and it's absolutely true. I'm asking people frequently, where do you feel that on your body? And a lot of times they don't really know. And I love it that you're going to have drawings for different emotions too, because it's really hard sometimes for people to express what they're feeling. And so to be able to kind of point to that and say,
and start a conversation from that. Like I found when I use these cards, sometimes when I'm working with a client, they might not know where to start, but when I show them these cards and let them lay out, all of a sudden they have a ton of things to say, and they can react to what's being laid out.
Sure.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, Christi, if there's anything either that you're currently birthing, or if you want to add to this about feelings and bodies and sensations? Or
So I'm in a phase in my life right now where I'm doing a lot of reflection. So I'm getting ready to have my 50th birthday. So it's like half a century.
Happy almost birthday.
And I'm having things happen like my boyfriend from 4th grade tracked me down. And his birthday is one day before mine. And so, I'm reconnecting with just a lot of my past and reflecting on where I've been. And so so that's kind of like the phase that I'm really truly in, that fall phase of like really feeling and reflecting. And the safe spaces that I create for women are kind of evolving a little bit. I'm doing soul gardening. We're in a session right now. And
do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so soul gardening is this concept that just would not leave me alone. And a few years ago, I started a meetup group. It's Moon Sisters of the Ozarks, and we meet together a couple times a month, new moon and full moon, and it was an attempt to kind of connect together as women, and also around nature, lunar cycles specifically. And so that's part of the work that I do, is helping women reconnect with their center, and that's part of finding your way back home. And so within that group, we have studied and experienced 3 years together of meeting for these different lunar events, and out of that came this concept of doing personal development work, reflection, and clearing blocks to abundance, but synchronized with lunar cycles, synchronized with seasonal cycles. And so it's kind of a holistic, safe space where women can come in intimate groups and work through those blocks. We use EFT. We have a lot of different we address mind, body, and spirit, lots of different tools and approaches, but also be heard in a safe, small space where you're going to hear a woman talk about what she's challenged with, and it breaks up in that imperfection. It's like, she can share that about herself, and oh my goodness, I've been there.
Right.
I don't have to hold strong to this ideal of who I should be. It's like, this is who I am. And learning more about themselves, and I could talk about this forever, so you have to cut me off. But this is something I'm really enjoying right now, and I'm working on creating, pulling it together for a handbook, possibly a second book, and just doing lots of private sessions, reconnecting with that, with that work. So.
One of the things I want to throw out that I witness in your work is it's both doing the self-awareness and growth, and also creating tribes, right?
Oh,
and so I just
yeah.
want to say that I appreciate the combination of those two.
Yeah, and I think that that's part of what I'm appreciating about this, is that as women, we're so strong when we can group together in packs. We can group together in tribe, and our voices just get amplified. Our confidence, is increased, and we form friendships and support. And so, I'm loving that. Thanks for calling that out.
And I want to say that this gathering of the three of us right here and now actually came from Wendy gathering women in an empowerment meetup. And from that meetup, you asked Christi and I to put together a workshop, and Christi and I did an open dialogue to see, well, what are women needing?
Right.
And
which was wonderful. I really see a need in the community here, and probably in every community, to let women know that there are many women that want to connect. And on different levels, and so we can offer, our women's concert series, we can offer workshops, we can offer just social gatherings where women can connect. And so that's why I created the Fayetteville Women's Community, which this kind of really did kind of come out of, I guess. And that's, like I said, one of the things that I really enjoy is bringing community together. On all different levels,
And one of the things, our next step even beyond this, is bringing that women's open dialogue to the Little Rock area, which is 3 hours from Fayetteville, and we're wanting to create more cohesiveness within the state of Arkansas. And so we're going even a step further, and we'll be holding another women's dialogue at the Essay Museum in Little Rock. And from that gathering, get even more information on what
Yes.
to do next. We're allowing this to birth into something bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
What I loved about you two is that we talked about putting together this women's empowerment seminar, but you said we have to step back and ask the women what they need, and that's so important and vital, and I hadn't really thought about that, doing it in that way, you know. So I love that, because we want everyone to have a voice and to tell us what it is they're looking for, and what areas they want to grow in, and also what they can offer, you know.
Yeah. We're actually getting close to our 30 minutes.
We are.
I'm not sure exactly what time we started, but I think I said 11:25. We need to
All right.
wrap up our 30 minutes.
It goes by very quickly.
Yeah, that was
I'm excited about what we can do with this, and one of the things we'd like to do is have more of these roundtables and bring other women in.
Absolutely.
And so it might be the three of
Yes.
us, but it might be a different mixture of some of us and,
Right.
and other new people. I'd like to get Anita Davis from the SA Museum, or Denise Gardner mentioned wanting to come
Oh,
on.
wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you're getting to witness this process. We're so glad that you're here with us, and if maybe we could offer up, if you have topics that you're yearning to have a discussion about, or hear
if you
be
could-
part of that discussion. If you're curious about something that you'd like to hear us talk about or invite guests in to speak to, I think that would be a...
Yeah.
Why don't we each give our full name and a website or a Facebook?
Sure. I'm Christi Daniels, and my website is christidaniels.com.
And I'm Wendy Love Edge, and you can reach me through bulldozerhealth.org.
I'm Joy Caffrey. JoyfulHealingCenter.com is the website. And I think you could find all of us on Facebook
Yes.
and maybe
Absolutely.
Instagram too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Reach out whenever you want.
Yeah. All right. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah,
All right, I
thanks.
think so.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.